Surprise, 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 surprise. Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast pop-up clinical conversations, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. It's okay to feel good. Everyone deserves to feel good, and so do you. The Green Nurse Podcast clinical conversations came about when Nurse Elizabeth and I here merged our companies, Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, alongside of Bloom Hemp, creating Holistic Caring Network. Clinical Conversations explores all aspects of how to optimize cannabis as medicine. People are making great medicines. This is her quote. People are selling these amazing plant formulations, yet no one is truly interpreting how to use cannabis as medicine. And that is what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And our next series of shows, we're going to be focusing on minor cannabinoids. We just recorded our new ABCs of CBD, which can be found in our network. We have a free introductory course, ABCs of CBD. If you look down in the show notes down below, and even in the notes, the comment section, I put a link there, holisticcaring.com/product ABC of CBD. And today we're going to be covering one of the minor cannabinoids called THCV in detail, as we just presented this for the Gangier.
The Gangier, the sommeliers of cannabis.
The sommeliers of cannabis.
Just this morning.
So we're going to get started on that, and then we'll end with my favorite video. All right. THCV, tetrahydrocannabivarin, non-impairing. So this is by Elizabeth and Sherry Mack, a presentation for you all. And we're going to be talking, the learning objectives today, we're going to talk about plant phytocannabinoids, an introduction of THCV, history and discovery of THCV, receptor interaction of THCV, research overview, therapeutic uses, and market presence of THCV, and specifically a study that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really
release those.
Yeah, exciting
results.
All right, so plant phytocannabinoids, what are they, Elizabeth?
Well, we're going to get to that slide next, but THCV is what we're going to be focusing on today.
Yeah. So plant phytocannabinoids are cannabinoids that interact with the endocannabinoid system. And this just shows an overview of some of the major ones in general.
Right. Okay. Well, so CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, and THC are many of the compounds that are found in the Bloom Hemp formulations. And we will be deep diving on each of them individually. And on the next slide, you have what is, I thought you were going to say, what is a cannabinoid? Okay. So
what is THCV?
She's rearranged these slides. Plant cannabinoids are interacting with the endocannabinoid system. And THCV is one of them, right? It is a cannabinoid and it interacts with the endocannabinoid system as well as the endocannabinoid dome. And so the endocannabinoid system is really the overarching system of molecules that interact as ligands. So THCV is a ligand, just like our anandamide and 2-AG. Those are the compounds that nudge the endocannabinoid system receptors, CB1 and CB2. And of course, in our own ECS, we have the enzymes that synthesize and degrade them, as opposed to THCV is going to need to, that is an exogenous cannabinoid that comes in, and then it is broken down through our metabolism.
Yep. So THCV is a cannabinoid, and cannabinoids are molecules that interact with both the endocannabinoid system and the endocannabinoid dome, which incorporates the endocannabinoid system, the lipidome, the microbiome, and other neurotransmitter signaling systems. All right.
Okay, here's the one I was thinking was there. So what is a cannabinoid? It is a molecule that interacts with the endocannabinoid system, and it can be our own endocannabinoids. It can be the phytocannabinoids that the plant makes, and it can also be the synthetic cannabinoids that the pharmaceutical companies make. And what are these? I'll just keep going. So anandamide and 2-AG are the two endocannabinoids. The phytocannabinoids can be THCV, CBD, CBG, CBN, CBDA, CBGA, THCA, etc. And then the synthetic cannabinoids, Marinol, is the best description, and that is synthetic THC. That pharmaceutical companies began making in 1985 for chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Then we have Epidiolex, which came out in 2018, and that is a purified version of CBD, and it's for rare seizure disorders. And then Sativex, made by the same company, GW Pharmaceuticals, now going as Jazz, is the maker of Sativex, which is available in about 30 other countries, but not yet in the USA. However, you can get a 1-to-1 at any good dispensary, and it is what I call the workhorse for people that have a lot of medical need. So the endocannabinoids are responsible for homeostasis in the body, promoting the Goldilocks zone. And THC and anandamide have a similar molecular structure. And if you look here, you can see that they're largely the same, and they fit right into the nerve cell. So our own endocannabinoid system is constantly being synthesized in response to stress, nudging that nerve cell receptor, bringing us back to balance. And when we're not making enough, we can supplement with the plant. So THC fits right into CB1 and CB2. The other ones are a little bit different. They modulate things in a different way, but they also can nudge that same system. And the plant phytocannabinoids are about 10 times stronger than our own endocannabinoids that we make endogenously, and they last a lot longer. As I mentioned before, they need to be broken down through metabolism and excreted through regular things like we eat and pharmaceuticals that we take, as opposed to the microseconds. But either one of them can restore us to that Goldilocks zone.
There we go. So THCV is a plant phytocannabinoid. So history and discovery of THCV. So delta-9 THCV was first discovered in 1969 by Edward Gill. And THCV is an analog of THC, characterized by a 5-carbon side chain shortened by 2 methylene units. You can see here, THCV is a little bit shorter than THC. And since the early 1970s, research has studied its pharmacological properties, revealing that it acts as an agonist. And we're going to talk about antagonism and agonism in the next coming slides, approximately 5 times weaker than THC. And this is a very, very interesting concept, and we're going to show you the biphasic nature of this particular plant phytocannabinoid and how it can do different things at different doses at different times throughout the body. Very, very interesting. So THCV discovery. So receptor interaction. So THCV belongs to the THC group, but it produces significantly different effects. Activation at the CB1 receptor is very, very different. And I want you to think of CB1 receptors as being mostly in the brain and the central nervous system. We do have them in other areas, but just think primarily brain. And think CB2 receptors more along the lines in the immune system and the other peripheral organs. So THC is an agonist at CB1 receptor, meaning that it plugs in, it's a partial agonist, it plugs into that receptor, while THCV is an antagonist at the CB1 receptor. So this creates opposing effects. So it actually blocks the CB1 receptor. So THC causes euphoria at CB1 receptors, while THCV at specific doses and higher doses can be dysphoric at those high doses, because think, you're blocking that CB1 receptor. So THC increases appetite and hunger, right? The munchies, while THCV may decrease the desire for food. So THCV is an antagonist at CB1 receptor, whereas an agonist at the CB2 receptor. So THC is also an agonist at the CB2 receptor. And we're going to get into the difference between agonism and antagonism in these next coming slides. So hopefully it'll make a big boatload of difference for your understanding. And this is one of my favorite slides. Thank you, Dr. Uwe Bleshing from Canakis, for these amazing slides.
Yeah, so CB1 agonism. So let's talk about really THC now and anandamide and 2-AG. So it can trigger those psychoactivity. It can create that euphoria as opposed to some of that dysphoria that we mentioned. So psychoactive, cognitive changes, changes to our mind, our memory, our emotions, our motor functions, etc. Sedation. THC at higher doses can be sedating. Lower doses might be a little stimulating. So a couple of milligrams, you wake up, 5-10 milligrams, you go to sleep. Antiemetic can take away nausea and vomiting. Analgesia. THC is really known for what we have to mitigate pain. And that can be central analgesia and peripheral when we're talking about neuropathy. An appetite stimulant, mood modulation. So it can be anxiolytic, decreasing anxiety. At high doses, THC, I know, can create anxiety. It can be anxiogenic. Antidepressant. At low doses, high doses, it can be it can create depression. So again, that biphasic nature. So a couple of milligrams, stimulating, energizing, antidepressant, decreasing anxiety. High doses, it does the opposite. Salivation can cause that dry mouth, and then tearing, red eyes, dry eyes, neuroprotection, preserving nerve cell function in the brain, bronchodilation, opening up the lungs, and then mediating the stress response. THCV is the opposite of some of these. It can cause weight loss and appetite suppression as opposed to the munchies and weight gain. Although ironically, even though THC causes appetite stimulation, people don't necessarily always gain weight.
I never get the munchies, ever.
And then improve metabolic syndrome and glucose metabolism and fibrosis. So when we're talking about improving metabolic functions and glucose metabolism, that really is key for diabetes and obesity and managing weight loss. So THCV can actually induce weight loss, and we'll see that in upcoming slides.
There we go. So CB1 agonism versus antagonism.
Yeah.
THCV is an antagonist at the CB1 receptor. All right.
And then CB2 agonism, so it's not psychoactive. It does usher in pain relief, not necessarily by the central analgesia, but much more in the peripheral inflammation. And being anti-inflammatory can take away a lot of pain. As we know, that's what Motrin does. And then neuroprotection, this is preserving and bathing the central nervous system, creating nerve cell preservation as opposed to nerve cell death. When we think about the brain running too hot, that's excessive glutamate, and that is nerve cell death. And what this does is it balances glutamate with GABA, preserving the nerve cells so that they're not dying off. And that's really good for Parkinson's, dementias, Alzheimer's, and MS, any kind of movement disorders, etc. Antifibrotic, osteoporosis. It can help bones to be in better shape. Osteoclasts and osteoblasts, it can actually stimulate that so that we can create new bone cells, which is good as we age. We want to preserve bone cells. Antipsychotic, CB2 activation can help really with some of our mentation, cognition, neuroinflammation, which also helps with depression. But also, we want that for CB2 activation for antipsychotic, and paired with CBD, it can be very good for psychosis and schizophrenia. Cancer, CB2 activation, lung cancer, neuroblastoma, colon cancer, but really all of the cancers can benefit from this. And then immune disorders, organ, autoimmune conditions, and rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune condition, can all benefit from CB2 agonism. CB2 antagonism, blocking CBD-induced weight loss, and increased CB2 expression with colitis. So really, we don't talk about CB2 antagonism very much. We really want CB2 agonism, which is what THCV does.
All right. Very good. Okay. So now we're going to just a little bit of a review, talk about the endocannabinoid system in general and THCV. So again, THCV is a partial antagonist at the CB1 receptor. In contrast, Rimonabant, and Elizabeth's going to talk about the specific study, is a full CB1 antagonist. So both of these inhibit appetite and encourage weight loss, but the plant does it in a more natural and supportive way. THCV is an inhibitor of CB1 agonists. For example, it can help reduce THC-associated increase in heart rate. And just like CBD, it can decrease the THC-associated psychoactivity. And again, it's a CB2 agonist. And so when we think about the endocannabinoid system is the largest neuroregulatory system in our body. It regulates all 11 organ systems, our immune system. And, just think we've got 30 trillion cells in our body that's broken down into these 11 organ systems in our immune system, regulated by the master regulatory system, the endocannabinoid system. We have cannabinoid receptors on all of the cell surfaces of all of our 11 organ systems, and we have cannabinoid receptors at all of the neurotransmitter signaling junction sites. That's very, very powerful. So THCV and the endocannabinoid system, partial antagonist, full agonist at CB2. So let's talk a little bit about rimonabant.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to talk about that a little before we move on, it was a full-blown synthetic CB1 antagonist. And what that means is blocking CB1. So when you block CB1, you can become highly dysphoric. And a Swiss company back in 2008 had this on the market briefly and had to pull it because people became very depressed and suicidal. And that just taught us that you can't block CB1.
Yeah.
You need CB1 receptor activation and anandamide and 2-AG activating them so that you have that ease and balance in our nervous system and keeping our mind and our emotions in check. You don't want to block it. And so CB1 antagonism through THCV is generally accompanied by the other cannabinoids, right? So CBD, CBG, CBN, all THC. And what that does is it buffers it so that it's not going in there like a lone wolf, just activating that in a single molecule pharmaceutical method like pharmaceuticals do. It comes in with everybody else in check with it. And that nuances the CB1 as opposed to full-blown blocking.
Yes, THCV has friends, and it brings its friends along for the party, right? Along for the ride.
We want the entourage effect, which we talk about a lot in these shows.
Yes. And then THCV and the endocannabinoid dome. So the endocannabinoid dome is the larger environment that is part of the endocannabinoid system. So the endocannabinoid system, the receptors, the endocannabinoids, the enzymes that create and break down the endocannabinoids is part of the endocannabinoid dome, but also the lipid dome, the microbiome is also part of the endocannabinoid dome and the other neurotransmitter signaling system. So you think of the lipid dome, think of the essential fatty acids. We need essential fatty acids in our diet in order for us to create our own internal endogenous cannabinoids effectively. We need to support our microbiome. Our microbiome is its own entire universe. We have so many different little bacterias in there that are growing and that are there to help us. And, when we were educating earlier today, I was just mentioning how our enteric nervous system runs parallel to our central nervous system. And our enteric nervous system is from our mouth all the way to our butt, communicates to our central nervous system via the endocannabinoid system. And so very, very important to keep our microbiome very healthy. We produce more serotonin in our gut than anywhere else. So THCV and the endocannabinoid dome, the different receptors that it activates is GPR55. There have been mixed results in studies. THCV acted as both an agonist and antagonist depending upon the dosing. So when you think of GRP55, think of cancer and inflammation. Then we have the TRPV receptors or the vanilloid receptors. Think of inflammation, sensation, and heat. And this is a potential inhibitor of the TRPV6 receptor. And then serotonin receptor sites, 5-HT1A, may act as an allosteric modulator, affecting other cannabinoid actions. So when we think about CBD is an allosteric modulator at CB1. So when THC is plugged in, it can dial down the psychoactivity effects. THCV does something similar.
Yep. And when we think about the endocannabinoid system and how the entourage effect is so important with the cannabinoids, the endocannabinoid dome is like the entourage effect for the larger environment.
There you go.
Right? Because the lipid dome needs to be healthy. That's how we synthesize and create our endocannabinoids and many other amino acids in our body. And then the microbiome needs to be healthy. That's how we process all of our food and our nutrients.
And so the reason why we bring up the endocannabinoid dome is because it's important when we're taking care of consumers that are looking how to use learning how to use cannabis as medicine, right? We want to have more precise effects. We want to have predictability of effects, and we want to prevent adverse effects.
And as integrative clinicians and holistic nurses, we talk about all of this because it, just like pharmaceuticals, it's not just the drugs that make a difference. It's how we treat our body, our rest, our connection, our sleep, our balance, and our exercise and our movement. It's not just one thing. It never is. And so this larger holistic environment really needs to be paid attention to.
So everything that we do or don't do in our lives affects how cannabis is going to work in our body.
Exactly.
All right, research overview.
So, we're not the only country in the world. So United States is leading the research on THCV specifically, but other countries are contributing factors, UK, Italy, Spain, Canada, Brazil, Israel, Netherlands, and Australia. All of these countries have a medical cannabis system. In fact, almost 50 countries all over the world have legal medical cannabis and are doing research.
Yep. So this is research overview on THCV.
Yeah. And then this is the dashboard that we got from CannaKeys. And this is updated all the time based on new studies coming in. And as you can see, there's meta-analysis, there's double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials, as well as just regular clinical trials, which is what clinicians are paying attention to and helps guide dosing. But there are animal studies, lab studies, et cetera. And then we will come with the organ system on the next slide as we talk about, where the research is being done. And as we talk about CB1, think about the brain and the central channel. That is largely the nervous system, where most of the research is based. And then mental and emotional reactions. What is happening with our nervous system? And then digestive. Think about our CB2 receptors. Largely, most of them are in the gut, and really control our food and balance and blood sugar levels. And then endocrine system is really the pancreas and all of the insulin and glucose metabolism and that sort of thing. And then, of course, cardiovascular, immune, our skin and our muscle systems. But really, CB1, CB2, you'll see leading off. And then you can get into, what we're really studying with this.
All right. So receptors associated with THCV studies. So as again, you can see CB1 and CB2 and the TRPV1 receptors are the main receptors that are being studied, but there's a lot of other receptors that they're studying as well. And this has to do with THCV research.
Yeah, and PPAR and gamma, and all of those have to do with cancer, inflammation, and immune system.
Okay. And then therapeutic use, therapeutic use of cannabis. When we're working with consumers, right, we have the patient here right in the middle. We need to look at relevant scientific, physiological, mind, body, psychological evidence. We need to look at what does the patient want? What kind of experience are they looking? What are their goals? How do they want to live their best life? What's important to them? And then we need to look at clinical judgment and experience. We've taken care of how many? 6,000?
6,000 patients.
6,000 patients.
And they all want to feel good without being high.
That's right. And so we look at the combined approach. So therapeutic use of cannabis, there is clinical evidence for using THCV for these particular conditions. And these are all live links that go straight to the research study. And if you join our network, and we have a link at the end of the show, you can join our network. We'll have this PDF in our free network that you can have access to.
Yep.
So anyways, addiction, alcohol dependence, withdrawal and intoxication, cannabis use disorder, diabetes mellitus, and loss of appetite.
All CB1 and a little bit of CB2.
Yep.
Yeah. And then inflammation, is the number one condition associated with the studies that are being explored. Neuroinflammation, gut inflammation, pancreas inflammation. When we think about those beta cells that we're going to be looking at, really all of them can respond to THCV. And then cancer, diabetes, obesity. Again, that is our blood sugar and our appetite sensations. Skin disease, epilepsy, fatty liver disease, addiction, and Parkinson's. So back into the CB2 neuroinflammation that we're looking at as well.
All right, and here we go. This is a really detailed slide. So the THCV properties and effects. So analgesia, pain relief, working on inflammatory pain, reducing inflammatory pain, actually reducing chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. It's seen as an anti-addictive agent for cannabis. So people that have issues with cannabis use disorder, THCV has been beneficial. People that have issues with opioid use disorder, THCV can be beneficial. And these are studies that are recent up until 2019. And then we have a series of research on anti-diabetic properties. So improving function of this natural hormone, so promoting glucose, helping to regulate glucose levels, also working as an anti-diabetic to improve insulin sensitivity, decreasing plasma glucose concentrations, working as an anti-diabetic, and actually improving function of the pancreatic beta cell in particular consumers. So anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, anti-dyskinesia. So I want you to think of those that have Parkinson's disease, right? Reducing L-DOPA as seen in Parkinson's disease, anti-epileptic, anti-nausea, anti-obesity, antioxidant, antipsychotic, specifically beneficial effects via serotonin receptor activation in particular, appetite suppressant. And then this is also one of the adverse effects, dysphoria. Full antagonists at the CB1 receptor have been shown to be induced dysphoric effects. And we're going to talk about that in the adverse effects. Neuroprotective and antimicrobial. Also, delta-8 THCV exists. This was in the research from Cannabinoids as an anti-addictive to nicotine. So people that have issues with nicotine dependence, delta-8 THCV may be beneficial. And some of the adverse effects of THCV are basically seen when you're using it solo in isolation, because it is an antagonist at the CB1 receptor. So if we're blocking the CB1 receptor, we're actually blocking the ability for us to be euphoric, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with being euphoric. You just need to do it responsibly.
Well, and you don't want to run the risk of blocking the natural euphoria that we have from anandamide. So you don't want to be blocking CB1. And on the anti-diabetic front, when we talk about improving insulin sensitivity, that is really allowing insulin to get, or glucose to get into the cells, right? Our regular blood vessels in our cells all need glucose. That's the energy that we're using, glucose or ketones, in the opposite model where we're not using new food and sugar. And when insulin basically opens the door for glucose to get in.
Right.
And so when we're improving insulin sensitivity, it's helping that insulin to be able to help glucose get into the cells rather than accumulating in the blood system and having high blood sugar levels in the blood and high A1Cs, which you should all be getting at least once a year, which is your 3-month sensitivity of insulin and glucose. So we want to make sure things are working well.
All right. And then here we go, therapeutic use. So again, the therapeutic use of cannabis has been defined by the American Cannabis Nurses Association as the use of cannabis products specifically for medicinal, wellness, and healing purposes. It is personal and subjective to each consumer, with objective criteria being improvement with one of the 5 health domains: biological, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social, without negatively impacting any of the other health domains. And this is me jumping out of a plane on my birthday a few years ago, having weaned off of 18 pharmaceuticals. That's right, living my best life, pharmaceutical
And what's
free.
on your hand?
It says the Green Nurse. It does. It says the Green Nurse. Yes, truly living my best life. So we're going to talk about the therapeutic use of THCV and the market presence today.
Well, and when we talk about market presence, this is, where do you see THCV in the market? And some of the research, as we're talking about, mental, emotional, and addiction is in the published studies. But really, the obesity and diabetes markets are enormous, and they're far bigger than people wanting to get off substances. 1 out of 3 people have obesity and have pre-diabetes in this country. So THCV is fondly referred to as weederol, the diet weed, due to its appetite suppression and stimulating effects. You can't go wrong with that. Dispensaries don't often carry THCV in isolation. Most commonly, it's found in combination products like THC and THCV gummies, microtabs, drinks, and tinctures. THCV is found often online in hemp shops, where there is a market for CBD plus the minor cannabinoids like THCV. The tinctures are generally THCV isolate, and THCV is expensive. So adding it to formulations is very costly. It is very expensive to make this. I don't know why, but it probably because of it's not often found. And so when you do find it in some of the strains that we're going to talk about next, you need to concentrate it. And those strains are pretty rare.
Yep. So here we go. So THCV chemovars. So THCV strains, we did a Google search. One of my favorites is Durban Poison, Pineapple Perps, Tangy, Red Congeles, Doug Varen's, Girl Scout Cookies, Willie Nelson, Jack the Ripper, Power Plant, Pink Boost Goddess, and Malawi Gold. Malawi Gold.
It's a Hawaiian strain.
It's a Hawaiian strain. So Doug Varen's, based on the research that we found, is considered to be one of the highest THCV strains. It's a 100% sativa strain discovered at Dougie's Farms, and it boasts exceptionally high levels of a combination of THC, THCV around 3%. That's pretty high for a minor cannabinoid, and THCA in general. And I do like Durban Poison. That's one of my favorites. And Nurse Jamie Rollins turned me on to Durban Poison. So Nurse Jamie, if you're watching, thank you for that.
Yeah, the South African strains. And I do think Malawi Gold might be South African. It's either South African or Hawaiian, but it could be South African.
Yeah, and then doing the market research, I wanted to bring up some other products that are on the market that I've actually used. We're going to talk in particular about our favorite Bloom Hemp Advanced Focus Tincture in the next coming slides, but I wanted to focus on some of these other ones. So these are micro tabs that have THCV in them. These are actually at a dispensary. The Camino Focus has 5 milligrams of THC, 2 milligrams of THCV. This is a rare cannabinoid company. They have a combination of THCV in gummies and CBD. And this one here, the tincture that they have, THCV Uplist, is a THC isolate, as well as from Erva Herb, has a THCV and limonene type of combination of formula. Then we have the drink in the middle, and we have a good story about the drink. So High Seltzer Energy Guava has 10 milligrams of THC and 5 milligrams of THCV. So we'll share our little story.
Yep.
So we were at an event,
At
a networking event, and they were handing out these seltzers.
So we tried one.
We're good researchers.
And then we were asked to speak.
And then we were asked to speak.
And I felt like my brain was a little scrambled. So that THC activation of CB1 and the CB1 antagonism from THCV, it's like you go to talk and you can be very social on it, but when you're trying to really draw from your library of things that you want to speak on, you're like, what was I going to say?
So basically, I felt like the drink was saying to us, Sherry, Elizabeth, how do you really want to feel? Do you want the benefits of THC or the benefits of THCV?
You got to pick one.
You got to pick one, because for us, the combined made us feel a little funky, not going to lie. But that's because that was our first time.
If you don't need to public speak and you just want energy, and here's where I see a lot of people using this: exercise. Really, to just get out on the trail, go have some fun, do some bowling. Seriously. And we did another THC event where they allow consumption at this bowling alley. And it worked well for that.
Yeah.
But going back to Bloom Focus is the next slide. The next slide
we're going to talk about.
So, and this is, in our opinion, we formulated this, how you do it right. You mix THCV with CBD and CBG. Yeah. Right. And in this formulation, there is 1,200 milligrams of CBD working on over 70 targets in the body, 200 milligrams of CBG, the mother of all cannabinoids, and a CB2 agonist, so calming neuroinflammation while it's at it. And then THCV, 200 milligrams, which equates to about 6 milligrams per serving, which is a really good dose of THCV. Some of these formulations, you only see a milligram or two because it's costly. Then folding in the botanicals, lion's mane for cognitive support, neuroprotection, memory retention, immune boosting, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, mood boosting, and then reishi, which is a really great mushroom for the immune system, cancer, antibacterial, antioxidant, lowering blood pressure and blood cholesterol, and then being calming. And then yerba mate, the opposite of calming, sort of nature's caffeine if you don't want to use actual caffeine, enhancing mood, memory, mental alertness, motivation, and energy, and antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects of its own. So this is the advanced tincture, boosted with all of these cannabinoids and botanicals for energizing, but uplifted, calming, centering at the same time. And in some of the marketing literature that I created, I remember saying, conquer the boardroom or the crosswords with focus, because it's going to give you that morning energy and clarity that we all want to get to work and get busy. And it doesn't give you the hangover that caffeine does, that wears off and you need more. In fact, some of the studies, and I think on the next page, we're going to talk about the study. I'll do this one, and then you do the study results. Okay. But because some of the people that were writing in said that it gave them all day energy, even though they only took a milliliter in the morning, which is why we say dose of this in the morning. So we partnered with Canigma and the More Better Relief app. And did a study, and those nurses that wanted to figure out if you could solve the 3 p.m. slump, that's us. And so the Canigma published that. The first article that you'll have access to in the PDF, talks about the recruitment process and the pharmacology of this. It's a 6 to 1 to 1 ratio products, CBD, THCV, and CBG, and really all of the botanicals and how we formulated this with the idea of creating a product that is going to solve that 3 p.m. slump. And then we wanted to market it to women. So this study, we had over 100 women that got a free bottle of this and then signed up to do the app tracking for a month. And the first week was no product at all. Just gauging them, getting to know them, doing the app tracking. And then the second week, they got to start putting in the qualifying information on how focus made them feel. And we there were sliders for mood, for your memory, your task focusing, your energy levels, and your productivity, and also appetite. How much appetite, how many hours of productivity you had per day. And the people were able to work with this app. And then the second article were the results of that study from the Canigma, and really going into the deep dive on how this actually unfolded in the research. And then the research is on our website, bloomhemp.com. Just click the research tab in the menu and you can read the entire report as you want to.
And in the show notes, we have all of these links for you all to have access as well. So Bloom Hemp Advanced Focus Results. Wow. 52% greater productivity, which equaled 2.2 hours of greater productivity in the daytime. That's huge. Can you imagine having 2.2 hours more productivity in the daytime?
I hope they used it appropriately, but it was all women. So that was,
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
Of course they did. Yeah. So participants stated that they were more likely to feel and be productive when taking the Bloom Hemp Advanced Focus tincture. 40% of the people that took Bloom Hemp Advanced Focus had increased focus in general. 72% said they had lower stress. 70% said they had a better mood. Their mood was increased. 78% that did the study said that the product surpassed their expectations. In other words, they gave it a 2 thumbs up. Mm-hmm. And then 52% said it decreased their appetite, and 24% lost weight. And that was in 3 weeks time.
Yeah. And this is another reason we wanted to key on women, because if you think about women in menopause, which, a lot of us are, you're gaining weight, you're not sleeping, you're feeling horrible, you're losing your focus and having that brain fog. And this is something that is just for them. Can you lose weight? Can you focus? Can you have better energy during the day and not impact sleep? Because there were also questions about, are you also impacting sleep? Is this making you not sleep? And they answered no. So it was really a fabulous study to do.
Yeah, it was a good study. Good results. So conclusion and invitation. So cannabinoids hold the potential to revolutionize healthcare for millions of people underserved by conventional medicine. And when we talk about cannabinoids, we want to talk more about, THC and CBD we love. Those are the two main. THC is the most abundant. CBD is the most abundant non-impairing cannabinoid. But we want to educate on the minor cannabinoids as well. We want to include all of them along with the routes to broaden the discussion with all types of consumers. So inhalation, oral ingestion, sublingual, tinctures, topicals, all hold relevance and offer options for those who need help with diabetes, obesity, addiction, pain and inflammation, and mood imbalances. So we have a free network. We want to help each other grow in health. And this is Elizabeth winning an award. Of course, I got to put that picture up there of her winning an award of the American Cannabis Nurses Association as Nurse Educator of the Year, which is very, very awesome.
Which is amazing.
And then our ecosystem.
Yeah, and the ecosystem, this is the one-stop shop where we hold our programs, our coaching services, our CBD, our marketplace, right? Because it's not just, go to a dispensary and have at it, which is really the market out there. We are solving the problems for patients, for healthcare professionals, and putting it all together, giving you a free introduction to cannabis program, along with the ABCs of CBD and breakouts of cannabinoids like this. And then the patient portal and a free plant medicine support group, our monthly clinical cannabis conversations, our 7-page medical cannabis guide, our patient programs, our professional programs, and our free nurse line, 970-404-HOPE or 4673. So call to triage your care.
And of course, Bloom Hemp. What makes us different at Bloom Hemp? Well, woman-led, nurse-owned. We have a pharmacist on staff. We have USDA organic hemp CBD with symptom-targeted formulas that were produced by doctors and nurses. Mm-hmm. We formulated 3 new products in the past year.
And two more on the way.
2 more on the way. We got 2 more products we're developing right now.
Well, the immunity capsules, there's going to be 30 and 60 counts.
There we go.
But yeah.
Yeah, and those are coming soon. We have a free nurse line, free care plan, free network, affiliate opportunities, wholesale and retail. So please visit bloomhemp.com for sure. And then this is just a little bit about us.
Yeah. And on the affiliate and the wholesale, if you like our products, sign up to earn while you learn. If you're in our programs, share them with your family, your friends, your network. We have commissions that will pay you back from your passion of sharing them. And then wholesale shops around the country, CBD shops, vape shops, but that's not it. Any retail shop can carry these products. So if you have a little boutique and you want to have some CBD on the shelf, it is safe and legal. Okay. So
and back to Elizabeth.
So now, I never really want to talk about me, but I've been a nurse a long time, and if I count my years as a candy striper all through high school, that's 40 years in healthcare. Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, worked in psychiatric nursing, most of my first 8 years in hospitals. Then I got my MBA in healthcare administration, spent the next 19 years in insurance companies, running clinical operations, general operations, government-sponsored plans, and then got into the commercial lines and ended up in sales, managing employee benefits for several big insurance carriers. But Anthem Blue Cross was my last one, and I ran sales for the County of San Diego, helping brokers be successful with their clients. So now you can see why I'm creating this cannabis HMO. It's in my blood. So I am the CEO of Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, as well as Holistic Caring Inc., our nonprofit, which you can find on the main tab on our website. So if you're inclined to donate, please do so, because that goes to give away free education for nurses, free coaching for patients, free nurse line services, and free care items, especially for cancer patients when the insurance doesn't cover it, which we know there's a lot of exclusions. I am the immediate past treasurer of the American Cannabis Nursing Association and director of health and treasurer of Los Angeles NORML, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws. Very busy this year with rescheduling efforts, and all of us want descheduling, but incremental progress is still progress. The Coachella Valley Cannabis Alliance Network is a local organization out here in Palm Springs area. which is amazing to be a part of and have some local things. And then I'm co-host of these clinical conversations. And then that is my book, which kicked off the programs. And I forgot to mention, I'm CEO of Bloom Hemp, which is really my passion in bringing to market all of the products that you need. And when we were talking on our conclusion and invitation, we talk about CBD and the minor cannabinoids and all those different routes of administration because patients go to the dispensary, they get in trouble with THC, they think that you just have to smoke pot and be high, and it's not that at all. So we're here to bridge the gap between what people want and need and what they're getting and giving it to them.
And just a little bit about me as well. So, God, I've been a nurse since 1988. 35 years as a registered nurse, 25 years in the conventional system at the big teaching Boston hospitals, including critical care, oncology, pediatrics, hospice, home care, home infusion, and telehealth. 20 years doing holistic nursing with nutraceuticals and energy healing practices, Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I do reconnective healing, and I work with a Healy bioenergetic device. 10 years in plant medicine arena, cannabis and psychedelics. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer of Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, Chief Nursing Officer of our nonprofit, Holistic Caring, Inc., and Bloom Hemp as well, founder and host of this award-winning podcast, The Green Nurse, Living Your Best Life.
4 times.
4-time award-winning podcast. Yes, founding member of the Cannabis Nurses Network. Thank you, Nurse Heather, for putting that together. Founding member of the International Association of Psychedelic Nurses. Thank you, Nurse Taylor Hayes, for putting that together. I'm also on the board of directors of the American Cannabis Nurses Association. Really, really excited about that role as well. Cannabis nursing has been recognized as a specialty. Really excited for that. And contributing author of Clark's Cannabis Handbook for Nurses. So really, really excited. So this has been a pop-up presentation. We thought that we would put this together for you all because we presented earlier today at the Gangier. Right? The Sage Gangier has a program for those that are looking, and they asked us to present on the minor cannabinoid THCV. And I thought, well, why don't we present this to our audience? Right?
Everybody needs to know about THCV. And since our study is now live, why not couple this education about THCV and the benefits, the risks and the benefits? Not a whole lot of risks, lots of benefits. So give it a try. Give Focus a try. Call the nurse line if you have any questions, and visit us at bloomhemp.com, info@bloomhemp.com, or contact us through the website. Let us know how we can help you live your best life and help others do the same.
Great. And that's it. That's a wrap. And I'm going to end with one of my favorite videos, because truly it is about living your best life and helping others do the same. And it's okay to feel good. We all deserve to feel good.
I stole your slogan.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name, and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the Green Nurses Group, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.